Hey, this is Dr. Dubrow, and you're watching the Dominick Natty Show. Look who's with me.
Oh my goodness.
My wife, Heather.
Heather.
How are you, my man?
Yes.
He says hi.
Do you think that Matthew Perry's doctors should be held accountable for his death?
Well, absolutely. Let me cut to the chase. Absolutely, because they were supplying him ketamine illegally without a formal prescription, without the proper monitoring and supervision and follow-up. He hadn't had ketamine therapeutically under supervision for, I think, a week and a half. And the half-life of ketamine is what, 3 hours or something, 2.5 hours? So any ketamine he had a week and a half earlier was completely gone out of his system. So what he had in his system is what was prescribed or given to him illegally. So absolutely. I mean, those doctors are over. They need to be over, and they need to be prosecuted appropriately.
Do you think that Matthew Perry's doctors are guilty of homicide?
Yeah, it will be. I think it will rise. It won't be murder one because it's not planned. There isn't the intent to kill him, but it'll be reckless. It'll be involuntary manslaughter. It'll be murder too.
Donald Trump took a bullet to his ear last month.
Yeah.
And now the bandage is off.
Yeah.
There's no scar or visible mark or anything that you could see. Is this possible to take a bullet to your ear and 2 weeks later you have no mark? Or did he have plastic surgery? Like, how is this possible?
So it's not because of plastic surgery, I can tell you that. This is an assault rifle, a high velocity, high impact injury that if it actually hit the substance of your ear would literally blow your ear off. Okay. Now, it could have been a grazing type injury, right? And a grazing type injury is where it barely skims the surface and it blows off just the superficial layer of skin. Now, that is consistent with the evidence. The evidence is he gets hit, he goes down, and he starts bleeding immediately. Generally, when you get shot with a high velocity missile like that and it blows out a piece of your ear, because of the trauma and the heat delivered to the ear, you won't bleed it immediately. You won't bleed at all. But if you take off the top layers like a slice, right? Like if you slice off your finger, it's going to bleed like crazy, right? Yeah. Because you've basically just opened up the superficial blood vessels. It's more like a grazing injury, or despite what everyone's saying, it wasn't actually the bullet. It was a fragment of something the bullet hit. So I'm not here to say, I don't want to, after people hear this, TMZ gets a call and then Harvey calls me as he loves to do and say, come on, let's talk about your theory that it wasn't the actual bullet. I don't know, but it was either a very superficial grazing injury with bleeding, or it was a fragment of something else that hit him.
Isn't it more likely that it was a fragment than the bullet? Like, in your opinion, like, isn't that the most, like,
probable?
Most probable.
Yes.
Okay.
I have seen hundreds and hundreds of gunshot wounds to the face, neck, body. I've never seen someone get a high velocity or even a low velocity pistol injury and not have tissue blown out.
Yeah.
Never seen that. So I find it hard to believe.
What are the dangers of Ozempic and counterfeit Ozempic? Like, does it lead to gastrointestinal conditions?
Okay, I'm on them. I'm on Mounjaro. Okay. GERD, reflux. GERD is very, very common. Indigestion, where you get that reflux. I don't know if you ever had it, but it's really significant. So yes, they can have significant side effects.
Do you find it hard to believe that celebrities like Kylie Jenner can quickly lose their baby weight without drugs like Ozempic?
To me, where there's smoke, there's fire. And if all of a sudden every single formerly slightly cherubic housewife is now skinnier than they've ever been in their life, and formerly you see someone who has, 200 million followers, who usually looks great, looks healthy, but is very full, and now all of a sudden, immediately after these miracle weight loss comes out, they're thinner than they've ever been in their life. It may be hearsay, Your Honor, and it may be circumstantial evidence, but circumstantial evidence actually holds up in a court of law. So, I mean, I think that the chances are very high that any particular celebrity who's thinner than we've ever seen them is on these drugs. But the fact that she's sort of thinner than she ever has been, and it overlaps perfectly with the introduction of these miracle weight loss drugs, I'll let other people make conclusions. And by the way, so what? I promise you, Kylie Jenner not only looks fantastic, she is healthier than she ever has been, whether or not she's on these weight loss drugs.
I know that Emily Simpson lost a lot of weight. I mean,
Yeah.
Do you think that the Housewives are they all using this Ozempic? Like, is that your guess?
Okay, so Emily admitted to it for using it for a short period of time. I don't know if she's still on it or not, but do I think the majority of housewives have either taken it or on it? Yes. How all of a sudden all these housewives are so skinny? How did that happen? Any housewife who was formerly heavier and is now very thin is on it.
Yeah.
Without question.
Christina Aguilera used Ozempic.
Christina Aguilera has always looked amazing and always been pretty thin. But if all of a sudden they're shockingly thin, you assume they either developed anorexia nervosa, cancer, or they're on these weight loss drugs. Something changed, right? And if it overlapped the advent of these miracle weight loss drugs, what else is it?
Yeah.
There are versions of these drugs, one of which works better than the ones we have right now, but you only require a shot every 6 months. And then, of course, they'll be in the pill form that you can take once a month. I mean, this is here to stay. Let's celebrate it. It's fantastic we have this. And the only thing I would tell people is if you're significantly overweight and you've got high blood pressure and you've got other things going on, why aren't you on these medications? You're shortening your life.
Are you considering getting a nose job? Is this something that that you've talked about?
You know what's pathetic about that? First of all, let me tell you the short history, the who cares short history of Terry Dubrow and his procedures. So I've always done Botox and filler. I did too much filler about 3 years ago, and I looked funky for a while, too much hair dye, and people love to write articles about it. By the way, I'm not even famous really. And people will write, my whole Google page will be, look who dyed his hair super dark. It's like, who cares about Terry Dubrow? I'm this 60-something-year-old doctor. I mean, really, it's a slow news day when you're writing about that. So I did do too much Botox, too much filler. I was sort of botched by the botched doctor, the botched doctor being myself. And then in terms of my nose, as I've gotten older, my nose have gotten bigger and more droopy. But I'll tell you something. If you watch this season of Real Housewives of Orange County, stay tuned because this may be addressed.
How much have you spent on renovations in your new home?
So we haven't even really started, but it's a big budget project.
Do you think you'll put like 10 million into it? Or...
No, we'll put twice that.